My name is Kathy Mochnacki, and I am the mother of a son who has a psychotic illness. I got involved with Home on the Hill when I actually met Bob Veltheer at the Craftsman Center probably about 10 years ago, and he had this idea about housing, and I was very interested because my son needed housing. So we got together and a board was formed, and we've had quite a journey in the last 10 years. The goal of housing didn't materialize because the funding from the federal government wasn't there when we needed it. So we proceeded on with the Robert Veltheer lecture series on mental illness because we felt that there was a lack of knowledge in the community about some of the symptoms of serious mental illness. And we thought that that would address stigma. If people were informed, then they would be less judgmental. So with the lecture series, we attracted families, and then with the families that we attracted, we formed a family support group, and from that, their adult children needed some meaningful activity to fill their days. So we started developing programs.
I felt that our kids come out of hospital from their illness and they're good, but then they don't stay well because there's nothing for them to do. And so then they become ill again. So we said, okay, well, we really need to develop programming for them. So that's where my interest in Home on the Hill is really towards getting things for the kids to do during the day, so they're not bored and revert to alcohol or drugs or just get involved in their delusions and become sick all over again. We talked to the parents about what their kids like. So, we found out that there was an interest in music. So there's a room that we rented that provides all the instruments. So we had a couple of kids go with one of our board members, and they jammed there and they really liked it.
I like to think of jamming as kind of like having a conversation. You play something loud, the person beside you will play something loud too. And when you play something quiet, hopefully everyone quiets down too. And it kind of goes up waves like that. Music is an international language. It has no barriers. So when you play it together, it's really nice. And it's a nice way to connect with people, get you out of the house. And it's fun.
Somebody else was really interested in animals. So we talked to St. John's Ambulance, and they have a pet therapy thing. And so we got the dog coming to the person's house on a weekly basis. And he really felt comfortable with the animals. And from there, as time went on, he became more confident and became a dog walker. And so then he had something to do every day. So, it helped him get out of his depression and his self. Another thing we found was some kids loved cooking. So we developed a program for cooking, and I'm fairly active in our church. So I was able to get free space to do the cooking program. And that was a big fun. And it was fun to have people from the community come in and eat with us, because it really made it feel like family, like community, like they weren't being isolated, oh, here, you're sick, so you belong in this program all by yourself. It was more about integration with people in the community, and it was really it was fun for everybody involved.
We had an excellent cooking class, which I believe is essential for clients to learn for cost effectiveness, budgeting, and how to properly cook healthy meals. So that was very important. There was also a yoga class that we had that was very, very good. There was an art class, sort of an art expression course that we took, or it was all voluntary, of course. And people who took the art course came in and did what they were instructed to do, or they did whatever they felt they could do. And it was just great structure for a lot of people throughout the day.
Art therapy was really good for some people who had trouble expressing how they were feeling. The therapist would have maybe 5 or 6 people with an illness with her, and they would draw, and it really worked for some people to draw them out and become social within the little group they were there. And then when they were comfortable with the group after about a year, then they were willing to try something else. They'd kind of been felt safe in the art group, and they hadn't felt uncomfortable or whatever. And so then they were brave enough to try something else. And so that would developed into our recreation group.
With the programs that I've created, it's basically recreation therapy. So using recreation as a tool to really improve everybody's holistic well-being. So that includes their social, spiritual, physical, mental, could be cognitive as well. So we have a lot of different programs that insist like rock climbing, right? We could be playing games like board games. We could have presentations, and we're always trying to improve as a group, right? So if, let's say, an individual wants to meet goals, right, we're always there for support, and that letting them know that they're never alone, and we're always there to help them. So with my job, I help them in every way that I can. And we always talk through things and help them emotionally. Sometimes it can be really difficult when someone is isolated and trying to meet all these goals, right? So recreation therapy kind of helps with their self-esteem, their social being, that belonging, and that really helps them confidently in different other aspects of life, right? So that could be like, getting a job, right? Helping with their social skills. It could be about simple as like life skills, right? Learning how to cook and clean and all these things.
If 3 people are interested in something, then we'll do a little program around 3 people. Because we find that if you have a group of 20 people, then the kids, especially with people with schizophrenia, they feel overwhelmed and they shut down. So when we keep our groups to 3 or 4, then they feel confident. They start to have relationships with each other because they're not overwhelmed by everybody. And so it feels safe. And so that's always been our philosophy, is to keep it centered around what the kids want to do, because we figure if they want to do something, they'll get good at it, and it'll give them that little added motivation to get out there.
Just recently, we've developed a very successful Home on the Hill Connection program, which, and we're very lucky to get funding from the United Way and the Government of Canada as part of the emergency COVID response.
With Home of the Hills, the Connection program is essentially just giving a gift to a participant, right? So knowing that they are cared for, knowing that they are loved, and knowing that they are thought about, and like we didn't forget them, right? It does mean something, right? And just them just saying thank you, or them showing appreciation, could be like a great deal for someone who is not very self-confident, who's locked down in their own home, right? Who is dealing with their own issues or different issues at home. So you don't really know what you'll ever encounter, but the thing is, it's still a contact to know that they are thought about, they are loved, and they are not forgotten. So Home of the Hills does really do a good job in actually trying to reach those participants, because those participants are really hard to get at, right? Because essentially they have mental health. They are dealing with something, and like they're already having troubles at home, but let alone like COVID had really stopped any sort of interaction outside of the home.
As a mother who has lived with somebody with psychosis, I will tell you that people with this situation have communication challenges. It's due to the symptoms of the psychosis, as well as being stigmatized and discriminated against by, unfortunately, some people in society. So what I find works so well with Tracy is she's so positive and she connects with people. It's kind of interesting that we decided on the name of this program, Home on the Hill Connection, because that's what she really does. She connects. She has that skill. And we would like to sort of multiply the Tracy Wongs and have more of that kind of personality.
So my son has been involved in the Home on the Hill Connections program with Tracy, who has been invaluable to him. And it is such a wonderful connection. And the program is a wonderful word to describe how they do connect with the person and get them going as far as exercise, socialization, emotional and physical support.
We had a person who would hardly ever go out. They were very social phobic. They had been uncomfortable at home, creating a lot of stress and friction at home. And with the help of one of their siblings, they ended up coming to our art therapy. And so after about a year of art therapy, they felt comfortable enough to try the cooking. And we added a little bonus of paying them. So if we gave them a small stipend, like $10 or something, then that was enough motivation for them to come out, because of course they're all on ODSP, and so they have very limited income. Over time, the relationship grew, and now that person is quite independent and very sociable, doesn't have that social anxiety anymore. Somebody else who's got really bad social phobia, and this is just recently since we've been doing the connections program, is they wouldn't even come out and say hello to us when we went to visit their parent. So we had one of our summer students talk with him through text, and he's becoming like, he's now texting her. So he's becoming social, becoming engaged. And, you know, like that just wasn't happening. He was getting panic attacks and feeling very closed in his house. And now he felt free enough to at least reach out and talk to someone out there. I think you have to see progress in years, not in, you know, a month. Getting over social phobias and those kinds of things take a lot of trust for a long time before they can take that next step. And so I think that we're willing to take that extra mile and just not expect anything of them until they're ready to deliver what they think they can do.
This is such a remarkable organization that does truly remarkable community outreach. They not only deal with the individuals who are you know, so severely affected with mental illness. They also play a very big role in supporting the families, and that in a way is, I actually look at it as something that's even greater that Home on the Hill does, because it's that remarkable assistance that they give towards the families who sometimes struggle and have so much to cope with. They can, you know, maybe have more than one person at home that they are dealing with. So it truly is Home on the Hill. It is how we try and help everybody and ensure that all the families, all those affected by mental illness, whether directly or indirectly, are able to receive the best support possible.
As the organization evolved, it got into the opportunity to meet other parents and communicate. So it was all non-judgmental. It was all very supportive. And that is huge. The idea that there are other parents doing the same thing, you're in it together, which gives you a sense of security and a feeling that you can go on. I can't underestimate how important it is to have people support you and accept you and give you empathy, not only sympathy, but empathy, because the system is very intricate. Yeah, and you're dealing with people that have constant crisis and maybe hospitalizations. You have to be strong to handle all of this.
I run the art expression program with Home on the Hill. A lot of people come, it's their first time. They've never painted before, they've never drawn before, and they are really surprised at what they can do.
Lesley's a very positive person, and actually I'm in her art group and I'm a terrible artist, but she keeps telling me that, oh, I'm really good. So, you know, she's very positive, very encouraging. Art is just such a wonderful way to express yourself. Us moms, you know, we have it, our life can be very stressful. So sitting in a group painting away is one of the most relaxing experiences, and I really have to give a lot of credit to Lesley for bringing that into Home on the Hill.
There was such a wonderful vibe, and people became friends with each other and connected with each other. And it also brought them out of isolation back into the community. So it was really a wonderful experience.
As a caregiver, you feel so isolated. You feel like you're the only one going through it. You can't explain it to somebody who hasn't actually lived it. They just don't get what it's like to feel stressed when somebody's psychotic at home, you know, like it's a unique experience, as is most illnesses. But the problem with this illness is that parents can't talk about it without shame. And so it's really important for them to get together in a group and talk about what it's been feeling like. And we become very close. Like I feel like I've got a family of 20 people now from the support group, because you share stuff that's meaningful and very unsettling, and everybody understands, and so they all want to support each other. And so, you know, you really do become bonded with the people around you, and that gets you going through rough patches, because especially with schizophrenia, the illness goes up and down, and sometimes there's no reason why it goes up and down. It's just the nature of the illness. And so it's good to have people to know a little bit of your history and not have to repeat it every time and explain from scratch what's going on. And when you get to know people and have a relationship with the family, then it's more meaningful than with sharing with a stranger.
So Home on the Hill, one of the wonderful things that they do is that they have a respite service, so a program. And so I have been able to go out with other family members for dinner, away for the weekend. I've been able to connect with other people for walks, and in time of need, just to talk to other people. So it's been a great support system, as well as it's helping me become more educated in the field.
My main concern was I need to speak to other people who are in the same situation. I need to know that I'm not alone. I need to get information on my loved one that doesn't come from a doctor with a diagnosis. Hope and support are crucial so that the caregiver doesn't crash. Being in a situation like this, living with someone who has a serious mental illness, creates a tension within the family. Often there's one person who is the main source of support for the person, just because it's very hard in a family where you have other kids, and you have to take care of a marriage. So you would think that inside the family you would have your support, but not really, because they are too emotionally involved. But when you have other families that are in the same situation, you can bond and contact and get a better perspective on what is happening and acceptance of how you feel.
You know, it's been 10 years since I talked to Bob Veltheer, all these years ago. But now our dream in some way has been realized. We're opening 4 supportive housing beds in the manse of the Richmond Hill United Church. And we're incredibly grateful to Reverend James Ravenscroft and the people of Richmond Hill United Church for allowing us to lease the manse. We have renovated it, and it's sort of open. We have just filled 2 beds.
Unfortunately, the government has capped homes for special care, which means that we don't have any additional funding to staff the house. So that really limits how many people we can have. We have to have people, like we have 2 people that are in it now. It's a 4-bedroom house, and there are 2 people in it now, and we only staff it during the day because we can't afford 24-hour staffing because we didn't get the COVID. And so our money comes from bingo and donations. So it's we're hoping to get some money from a foundation, but we've heard that we will get some, but we don't know how much. So once we get enough money for staffing, then certainly we'll open up the other 2 beds. But for now, we're leaving it at 2, not because there's not a need, but because we haven't got the money, and we don't want to put our clients at risk. So that's why we haven't filled the other 2 beds. But we're really excited about the project. It has so much potential, and it's, you know, right in downtown, so they can get to everything by transit. And, you know, we've had a lot of interest, and we're saying, yeah, we think that we'll put you on the waiting list. Would love to have you, but, you know, not just yet.
Once we're up and running, we hope to run our, actually part of Tracy's program, the Home and Hill Connection program. We hope to run that in the manse. For example, the cooking program. We had a cooking program before COVID, so we hope to bring it back and put it, you know, and have it in the manse. And we'll run our art program in there, and also recreational events.
You know, we really do want our kids to have some quality of life. And so we're constantly looking for new ways to develop that quality of life, to find some jobs that they're capable of doing, so that they feel like they're part of the bigger society, you know, not just relegated to the back burners. That's one of the biggest problems, is that the client feels so isolated and the family feels so isolated. And when somebody is sick in the family, the whole family is affected. And I think that the health system doesn't realize that. They don't realize how debilitating it is to the whole family, not just the parents, the kids too, the siblings too. So, you know, when you're helping that client, you're helping a whole family. You're helping, you know, the whole family. So I think that that's something that the health system isn't aware of, or they're aware of, but they don't do anything about it, or anything effective about it anyway.
Service should not just be medication and staying stable and being out of the hospital. Everybody is entitled to a quality of life. And I think that that's what Home on the Hill is trying to do. And I think that things will change at some point when the public and the community, and I know our community here in Richmond Hill has been so supportive, when there's more knowledge in the community, when there's more understanding in the community, that's when we'll have change. And that's when attitudes will change. That's when politicians will step up and listen. And that's when, you know, we'll get the funding that we really need. It should be going to the most seriously mentally ill, and it's not.
We are dealing with serious capacity and accessibility issues across Canada, and especially in Richmond Hill. And we have issues, as I said, with the capacity of professionals being able to help those in need, as well as having readily access. The beauty of Home on the Hill is it's community based, and it's within the Richmond Hill. And those people like Kathy and Maggie are the one who actually understand, and they have lived experience either directly or through near and close family members. So, and they understand the community well. So we are having, to a large extent, finding a four-legged stool, one being accessibility, one capacity, also understanding of the writing and the lived experience.
Home on the Hill does everything. They do everything to the best of their ability to meet the needs of the clients, and I believe that they do they do an excellent job. They never disappoint, and they do their hardest to meet the needs of the clients, which is unlike my prior experiences with other places. From my experience, you feel like a person. You don't feel like a client or a patient. You just feel like a person, and they listen to you. And that's, you know, to me, it's a huge weight off a client's shoulders.
I certainly have developed incredible friendships, have had the opportunity to get away from caregiving. I've had the opportunity to explore my artistic skills, and I have been able to obtain services for my son, which he is thrilled with. Because sometimes people are isolated and are not given the opportunity to grow physically, mentally, socially, and emotionally. And that's what the program does.
I'm happy with what I have. I'm grateful, but I know we need more. Sometimes it's just walking in the dark to look at that glimmer of light and then keep hammering away at the system.
I think they've shown tremendous progress, but I think they want to do more in the future, obviously. And I think if Home on the Hill can continue to make the kind of progress that it's made already in light of their efforts, I believe they should, because I think this is a positive take for the clients, because I think this could help them in the long run. Maybe it could lead to employment a little while down the road, and maybe this will decrease unemployment and decrease homelessness, and hopefully will make progress. Maybe that's a long way away, but I think this is a good start, and we should start somewhere.
When it comes to Home on the Hill, like we've really done some quality services, like being able to actually truly connect with the client and actually listen to what they like, right? Listen what they have to say, listen to what their parents like want for them, and like as a family, just knowing that they exist and knowing that they are being heard. Right? A lot of different programs just say like, yeah, I've talked to that guy for 5 minutes on the phone and like he seems to be okay with me, but like Home of the Hills is about quality, and like we truly listen to them for like an hour, right? 2 hours, like, and we're volunteering our time to be with them and actually understanding there are so many other guys that are like them, and being able to relate that to somebody who is similar to them or in the same boat as them is like, it does make a big difference for sure.
It's really a really phenomenal organization. And you can tell by the people who run it. I'm one of them, but the people who run it, Kathy and Maggie, are really passionate about it, and they're very good at what they do.
It's a most noble cause, and I believe it deserves so much attention, perhaps more than it actually gets. And the principals like Maggie and Kathy and Lesley, who work so hard, fundamentally moving this organization forward and ensuring that speakers are brought in, professional speakers are brought in, doctors, people from the community, people from the LIN, the local LIN, and all of that. It's an essential service as far as I'm concerned, that they so gladly give to the community. And they certainly require as much funding as they can possibly get, because their reach is long and their need is wide.
I thank them. I thank them for the great work that they're doing for the community. I thank them for keeping me involved. I thank them for, helping those who are at needs, especially the youth. And I thank them for keeping the community informed, advocating, and also partnering well with others. I've seen Kathy and Maggie and Home on the Hill on many other Richmond Hill social activities, and they're not only they've left a mark, but they continue helping and guiding everyone and educating them and working with them. And I'm hoping that one day we will have a large and very sophisticated, advanced, community-based mental health, mental wellness, and addiction center that brings all our capabilities together to be able to help the people. So kudos to Kathy, kudos to Maggie, and thanks for their contribution to the community.
One of the things that why we're successful, I think, is because we're small. And because we're small, we can adapt easily. And I think that that's one of the big things with the health system, is that they're so large that, it's really hard to change direction or change anything. But with us, we're so flexible. If we find out tomorrow that, somebody wants to do pottery, for instance, and really is into pottery, well, you know what? There's 3 people, we can start a pottery program, right? So it's what limits us, but it's also what makes us unique and special too, I think. And yeah, I think it's because everybody feels ownership, like all the family support people, they feel an ownership in Home on the Hill because they feel part of it, because they're supported and they feel like we're all friends together. So it's sort of like its own little community. And I think that's very special and unique.
I think in this journey, I think that what has really kind of impressed me is the kindness that some people have expressed. I started to get goosebumps, but that's what that's what keeps me going, is people's kindness and people. Yeah, that's what really keeps me going.